Falcone sent them to kill you.
Why?
You rattled his cage.
And thus we bring back the cage match in 2021. Can you believe it? A couple of boomers getting into Fortnite and wrecking some Zoomers. You know we're the reason you didn't land here back in the day. And we're proving it again. Unfortunately, me and Richie's audio didn't record during this vid. So I'm going to have to commentate over it because I still wanted to give you guys the gameplay of me and him actually having a decent Fortnite game. Probably like 8 months since the last time we played. Maybe even like a year for Richie, because he literally hadn't played the Chapter 2 map yet before the game you're watching right now. So have that in mind. What's going on, guys, though? It's Big Roar Ronin, and I want to say that there is a reason you haven't gotten any of these other unpopular opinion commentaries recently, because I know if you guys had watched my last one, I said I had a bunch of gameplays in Cold War and I had plenty of stuff to cover. Well, I unfortunately had to reset my PlayStation 4 because it's a piece of shit, and I still haven't gotten the PlayStation 5. If you have gotten the PlayStation 5, congrats to you, because it's honestly almost just like, I don't care at this point. I'm just gonna wait till it's like readily available. I don't want to have to like wake up at some specific time and try to grind my ass off to put it into a shopping cart. I actually had it in my cart at Walmart, all the credit card information, all the shipping details filled in, and it just would not let me hit the final confirm purchase button. And after that, I'm like, I'm over it. I don't even care. And so I've just been stuck on the PlayStation. I'd rather be giving you guys some new, improved gameplay. I think it would look better on PlayStation 5. I don't know. I don't think I'm even going to watch the PlayStation 5 video. How much I want to avoid anything to do with it until I have it. But, in other gameplay news, me and Richie have been getting some footage for the new Firebase Z map on Cold War, the new map that just released. I guess I'll give my quick opinions on it if you guys haven't played it yet. I would say it is a good map. I would even say it's probably better than the Machina map I had no problems with. I'd say it feels a lot more retro, kind of like a Cold War or Black Ops 1 era map, which is ironic because Nocturne Toten, which was literally a not Cold War, World at War era map, was in D Machina, but this one feels kind of like Ascension almost, and I think that the map itself is a perfect mix of challenging and simple, but I'd even say that it's almost way more challenging because it gets to a point where the relentless spawn of the mimics and the manglers, and the fact that it seems to be that the Ray K is the only gun that can honestly do any sort of damage, and that's not even mentioning the fence waves, which if you don't have a Ray K are borderline impossible to complete without at least getting some of your power taken away. Besides that, though, I think the map is really fun, and I like all the little additions they made to it to keep people interested, because I've seen a couple Easter eggs that have already been discovered a couple days after the Easter egg was discovered. So hopefully this can hold over to the next map, and so far so good. I will say my biggest complaint, and I also hope that they fix this at some point, is that they don't have any achievements, which is really bizarre because almost every other zombies map, actually I wouldn't even say almost every other zombie map, I'd say pretty much every other zombie map has had new trophies, or I guess an Xbox achievements added. So I'm not sure why we don't have them. There's definitely no reason there shouldn't be, because you could just literally tie it to the challenge as they're completed, which I think a bunch of them already are for the D Machina map. But hopefully Treyarch will get that together eventually. Moving on, I would like to talk about my content that I've released the last couple of weeks, which was my Hannibal Lecter Army Hammer parody video, and then my 4 years of YouTube video. Hope you guys enjoyed those. I plan on making, hopefully, a decent amount of those this year, because I've really been enjoying it. And I don't know if you guys have been noticing this, but I assume you have, because every single time I click on one of these videos, the comments is full of, hey, other guys that randomly got recommended this video. It's those like short little almost clickbait type videos that have been really popular recently in the recommended feeds. A lot of them are just like vertically filmed, basically like a Snapchat or a Vine or TikTok even. And they're popular right now, so I kind of want to invest in that. And I want to make them a lot more high quality than the ones that have been popping up. Maybe that's dumb of me because it seems to be dog shit, just random videos of cats jumping around are what sells. And I have my cute little kitty cat Foxy. I'm sure I can get her to do something fun. But I also like to do the more time consuming like videos that I've done so far for that, but maybe a couple of dumb ones too. Who knows? If I get some ideas, I have a couple ideas for more high effort ones. Not many ideas for dumb ones yet, but I'm gonna try to like keep up with current events and see where jokes may be able to find. And other than that, I will be doing maybe more creative ones. I have one idea on the back burner that I'm already filming. And then other than that, with lockdown, I really haven't been doing a lot of stuff to fill you guys in on, but I have been watching a lot more movies recently. I kind of took a break from watching movies. I went like a little movie binge and a bit of a TV show binge. So I guess with the remaining time, I'll fill you on my recommendations and unrecommendations from that time. I will start with the newest movie I've seen, which is The Little Things, the Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, Jared Leto movie. And I will say I'm not really liking the, I guess, negative reviews I've been seeing that have been comparing it to Seven, because it's a very different movie other than the fact that it involves police trying to catch a serial killer. Because I feel like this movie is trying to delve more into the psychology of the police that are so invested in trying to catch a killer, and the effect it has on their lives when they aren't able to catch them. And I think in that it's a lot different, but I also don't think that they really delved into that idea enough. And I think the pacing was a little wonky, specifically going into the back half of the movie, which is kind of sad, because that's when they introduced Jared Leto's character, and I think he did some phenomenal acting in the movie. But you also know I'm a Jared Leto stan. I love the boy. I've been defending him since day one. His Joker is really good in my opinion. I can't wait to see him in the Snyder Cut. I think that's the only thing I'm looking forward to the Snyder Cut, is seeing Jared Leto. Definitely not looking forward to that 4-hour monstrosity that's rated R for any other reason, because dear lord, is it going to be a hot mess.
To this handsome honka.
But some of the older movies I've been watching recently, I kind of like watched movies in like a little group of 3. The first little group of 3 I watched was 3 other, I guess, serial killer type movies. And that one I watched Red Dragon, The Bone Collector, and Identity. Of those movies, I enjoyed Red Dragon the most. That is the prequel-esque to The Silence of the Lambs. Also stars Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. And it stars Ed Norton as Will Graham, the FBI agent that was using Hannibal Lecter to help him solve his case before Starling did in Silence of the Lambs. I think this movie is heavily carried by Ralph Fiennes' performance as the killer, the Tooth Fairy. He is probably one of the best villain actors of the most recent years. He did the He Who Must Not Be Named in Harry Potter movies, and he was that evil Nazi dude in Schindler's List. He was the mean hitman hiree in Bruges. He's literally the king of playing villains.
It's an inanimate fucking object.
You're an inanimate fucking object!
And he really shows it in this one as a really creepy serial killer. The Bone Collector, which stars Denzel Washington as a quadriplegic, CSI investigator helping Angelina Jolie try to solve a murder, is fun only for Denzel's performance. The reveal of the killer is pretty fun, and the final fight sequence is unique to say the least. And I did enjoy all the kills leading up to the end, even though they were a bit sparsely paced. And I thought the investigation sequences with Angelina Jolie being directed by Denzel got a bit repetitive. But overall, it definitely wasn't like a terrible waste of time like Identity was. This bizarre kind of big ensemble cast murder mystery with John Cusack and Ray Liotta. And if it had just been a bizarre murder mystery, I would have liked it. But the bizarreness goes into this stupid twist where all the characters, I'm going to spoil it because I don't want you guys to watch this movie, where all the characters are personalities instead of a serial killer's head, like who has multiple personality disorders. And it's like the different personalities killing each other, and only the last one will be his final personality. And we're supposed to be rooting for the good personality to win. But then it turns out that the little kid who's in one of his personalities is actually the evilest personality, and he kills all of them. And oh my god, I thought that was the dumbest twist of all time. It should have just been a standard murder mystery with a more grounded twist, and I probably would have liked it a lot more, specifically because the cast was really good. And yeah, I feel like they were all thrown away because of that nonsense. Next up, the 3 movies I watched were all kind of bank robbery movies. I watched The Inside Man, Good Time, and Die Hard with a Vengeance. I think I'll start with Inside Man, which is probably the movie I liked the most. It was a Spike Lee joint starring, guess, Denzel Washington again. I've been watching a lot of Denzel movies, and Clive Owen as the main bank robber. And that movie has a fantastic pace, and it has a lot of twists and turns that I won't spoil because I want you to watch it. And I didn't see any of them coming. It was really clever, a really well done back and forth cat and mouse between Clive Owen and Denzel Washington, and he tries to negotiate the bank robbery and get all the hostages free. And Clive Owen, he always seems to be 5 steps ahead. Denzel's playing checkers, Clive Owen's playing chess. And you know, Spike Lee always got that fun kind of sharp dialogue. Seems a little bit more authentic than Quentin Tarantino's sharp dialogue. That kind of, you know, it's good, but it kind of seems like it's movie scripts. Well, Spike Lee kind of has more realistic sharp dialogue. And overall, I think it worked really well. The next one I liked was Good Time, the Safdie Brothers movie before Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. This one was with Robert Pattinson, who I think does a great job. I think my biggest issue with the movie was that I went into it thinking that Robert Pattinson's character seems pretty smart. He seems like the type of dude to be 2 steps ahead. But my god, does he just make dumb error after dumb error? And I guess that was kind of the point. But it gets to literally maybe like the halfway point in the movie. You're like, there's just no way that he's going to succeed with his goal. And other than that, the performances were great. The tension was great because, like, if you don't think he's going to succeed, obviously the tension's going to be higher, like you hope he succeeds. The music was also great with the Safdie Brothers, if you've watched Uncut Gems, really know how to get that synth tension going. I mean, you also know they get the tension really well because Uncut Gems is probably one of the tensest movies of all times. And then last the one I watched was Die Hard with a Vengeance, the 3rd movie in the Die Hard franchise, which I didn't think was bad, but I heard a lot of good things about it before I watched it. And I will say that Jeremy Irons' villain is a good villain, kind of on par with Hans Gruber, which is funny because he's Hans Gruber's brother. And Samuel L. Jackson is a good supporting side character for Bruce Willis as John McClane. But first off, the intro and how Samuel L. Jackson gets to be partnered with Bruce Willis is just very bizarre. And then after the reveal that the Gruber brothers must really think alike because both of them had plans to distract the whole group of people and then actually rob a bank, it's like, okay, he robbed a bank. So it kind of loses its momentum after that because I honestly really enjoyed the weird Simon Says kind of cat and mouse saw-like nature at the beginning part of the movie. But it wasn't a bad movie. I would say it's the worst of those 3 that I watched, though. And then the final group of 3 movies I watched were kind of like super violent movies, I guess I would describe them. Like one man against like a lot of violence. And that was Taxi Driver, A History of Violence, and Cape Fear. And I would say my favorite of those is really hard because those are all really good movies. Honestly, probably the biggest or the best group of 3 movies I watched, which I mean isn't really saying anything. A lot of those movies are well known for being really good. I think my favorite was probably A History of Violence, a movie starring Viggo Mortensen as a everyday man who protects a diner during a robbery. And I really don't want to say more other than this movie is very intense, very violent, as the name would suggest. And I think anyone should go into this movie completely blind other than what I've told you so far, because it is really good. It is probably the best movie I've watched out of all the movies I've suggested so far. So I'd highly recommend it. I would say just that and go into it completely blind. And then the next movie I liked the most was probably Taxi Driver, which is arguably one of the most acclaimed movies of all time. People really love the movie, and it's obvious why. It's great. Robert De Niro puts on an amazing performance as Travis Bickle. And I will say, what I didn't know going into it is the movie is really depressing. Like, go into it if you're already in a mood to get kind of sad, or if you're just like looking for a movie that's kind of hard to watch, because boy is like the downward spiral of Travis Bickle hard to watch. And I really enjoyed it though. Probably one of the best performances of his career, which is saying something, because the other movie I watched, Cape Fear, also has a really good performance from Robert De Niro as the villainous character in that, where he antagonizes a family throughout the movie. I thought that was really good. The only issue I kind of had is it goes from 0 to 100 real quick, kind of towards the middle, and after that it's just full balls to the wall crazy. And then you get the infamous scene that was just kind of ridiculous. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but it's a scene where Robert De Niro's character follows the family while they're driving in a car, and it's like, alright, that's a bit much. But other than that, I've just been watching a lot more British panel shows, as I've already recommended before. The only thing I've recommended more than British panel shows is Marilyn Manson albums. And I would specifically say, if you do want to start watching British panel shows, to definitely start with Taskmaster. It is definitely the most accessible of all of them, and it's just a really good feel-good show that you can just throw on whenever you are in the mood to watch something. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next commentary, hopefully soon, or short video, who knows. Peace out, guys. Love you.
My life can't say that, girl. Don't tell me you could say that shit. All she want is payback for the way